Días a todas y todos
Good
quienes
morning, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone who is joining us here today at this very important activity convened by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and the Elige Vivir Sano system of the Ministry of Social Development and Family, with support by the National Fruit and Vegetable Committee of Chile. My name is Carla Santos. I am a specialist in nutrition and agri-food systems at the FAO office in Chile, and I am joining you today as the moderator of this event. Today, we will be joined by international experts, and we will be discussing the importance of raising awareness among the population and decision makers about the benefits of fruit and vegetable consumption for human and planetary health. In 2019, the United Nations General Assembly declared 2021 as the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables to promote greater consumption and the inclusion of fruits and vegetables in our diets, since this contributes to boosting better, healthier habits and leading diversified, balanced, and healthy lifestyles. Likewise, the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables draws attention to the importance of policies aimed at reducing losses and waste of highly perishable foods. Now, this activity aims to be an opportunity for us to reflect upon these aspects and discuss them as well, especially aimed at decision makers, civil society, and a variety of different stakeholders in order to exchange knowledge and experiences on this subject matter. Now, the program, the schedule of this activity will be as follows. We will be beginning with greetings from the authorities of the institutions that have organized this meeting, and then we will continue with the presentation on 3 technical papers that were the result of the FAO-WHO International Workshop on Fruits and Vegetables 2020. These have been designed to guide government policymakers to adopt the most effective and efficient policies that promote sustainable production, supply, and availability of fruits and vegetables for human and planetary health as well. Then we will continue with a panel discussion that will feature reflections and comments from Froilan Flores, Israel Rios, Manuel Moñino, Sofia Bustos, and Fernando Bio. All of these individuals are very key actors directly involved with this subject matter, and we are very honored to have them here with us today, and we would like to thank them for squirreling away some time for this activity. We would also like to thank everyone else who is joining us here today. In addition, greetings to all of you who are joining us through the Twitter account of FAO Chile, the Elige Vivir Sano Facebook page, and the YouTube channel of UNFAO. To kick off this activity, I would like to leave you with the FAO representative in Chile, Dr. Eve Crowley, for
Muy buenos días a todos y todos. Un saludo muy especial a las autoridades, expositores y panelistas internacionales y nacionales que nos acompañan hoy en este lanzamiento internacional
who are with us here today at this international launch of the Policy Brief Series within the framework of the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables 2021. Now, we are wrapping up this international year, and the year was chock full of activities,
seminarios virtuales, campañas comunicacionales y declaraciones de actores públicos como parlamentarios, todas con un objetivo: apoyar y concientizar sobre la importancia de las frutas y verduras para la nutrición humana, la seguridad alimentaria y la salud. Todo esto pasó en un contexto muy especial, el de la pandemia por COVID-19 y sus repercusiones. Crisis que nos afectó a todos, pero de manera más fuerte a las poblaciones en mayor situación de vulnerabilidad. A nivel global, los efectos de la pandemia, sumados al cambio climático y a la crisis económica, alteraron el funcionamiento de los sistemas agroalimentarios. Lo anterior afectó, por ejemplo, la disponibilidad y la calidad de los principales alimentos de la canasta básica y, en consecuencia, se exacerbó la malnutrición y la inseguridad alimentaria que afectó en 2020 a 1/3 de la población mundial. No podemos olvidar que incluso antes de la pandemia, el consumo promedio de frutas y verduras a nivel global ya estaba muy por debajo de lo recomendado por la FAO y la OMS, llegando solo a 290 gramos por persona al día. Es por esa razón que alimentar saludablemente a la población creciente y mantener los medios de vida de las personas que trabajan en el sistema agroalimentario, especialmente a los pequeños productores de frutas y verduras, es un desafío que requiere una transformación. La FAO, como organismo encargado de apoyar a los países en la celebración del Año Internacional de Frutas y Verduras, ha apoyado a los países en este cambio de paradigma, colaborando con apoyo técnico en medidas que permiten, uno, concientizar sobre los beneficios del consumo de frutas y verduras para la salud. Dos, reducir la pérdida y el desperdicio en los sistemas alimentarios de frutas y verduras. Y tres, difundir las mejores prácticas para la producción sostenible de frutas y verduras, mayor sostenibilidad en el almacenamiento y en toda la cadena de distribución, e integración de los pequeños agricultores en las cadenas de valor. Sabemos que con estrategias multinivel y multiactor podremos seguir avanzando en la implementación de programas y políticas públicas más
More
efectivas y
effective and
eficientes
efficient
que
programs
fomenten
and
la
public
producción,
policies
el
that
suministro,
foster
el
the
consumo
sustainable
y la
production,
disponibilidad
supply,
sostenibles
consumption,
de
and
frutas y
availability
verduras
of fruits
para
and
la salud
vegetables for human
humana y
and
planetaria.
planetary health.
Por último,
Finally,
quiero
I would like to
agradecer al
thank
Estado chileno
the
por haber
Chilean
movilizado el
state
interés global
for having expressed such interest in declaring this year and for having pulled together national efforts and joint international efforts. I would also like to once again congratulate all the people and institutions that have worked to make this year an important milestone and to highlight the benefits of fruit and vegetable consumption. And let it be known that FAO will be available to continue supporting you in moving forward with this challenge. Thank you very much and welcome to this key encounter. Thank you, Eve. We would also like to thank the individuals who are watching us through the various social media outlets. So we have received some greetings from Chile, from Panama, etc. So welcome. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Jose Pedro Giliciasti, the Executive Secretary of the Elige Vivir Sano system. He has some remarks for us. Go ahead, Jose Pedro. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to greet Eve Crowley, the FAO representative in Chile. I would also like to greet all of the other speakers who have joined us here today online. It seems as though we have a very interesting agenda with us today. For us today, we will hear from Froilan Flores, Israel Rios, Manuel Moñino, Sofia Bustos, Fernando Vio. Greetings to all of you. Now, it's an honor for me to have been included in this key event, which is launching the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables. Now, we have worked closely with FAO through an agreement this year, and it's very important to create awareness with regard to the role of fruits and vegetables in human health. And that's why this event is so important. It's also key to foster global consumption, because we know that these contribute to allowing us to attain the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, Chile has adopted this key international policy, and this was carried out through the Ministry of Agriculture. And today, with this launching, we would like to reiterate our commitment to the importance of fostering more consumption of fruits and vegetables nationwide. Now, our country has very positive trends when compared to the other countries, but we can make national improvements. First of all, we're the first country in the Southern Hemisphere to export a series of fresh fruits and exercise, but second to last in terms of consumption of fresh fresh fruit among the OECD countries. Moreover, only 15% of the population actually meets the WHO recommendations and the recommendations issued by the food guidance. Now, we know that the most vulnerable sectors do not meet these recommendations. For example, boys and girls over 12 tend to consume more fruits and vegetables as their family income increases. And also, boys and girls consume more fruits and vegetables when their caretakers have higher education versus basic or secondary education. Also, we have seen that there's a great deal of obesity in our country. 75% of the 15-year-older individuals 15 years old and older are suffering from obesity or overweight. Women as well living in rural areas have a significant high rate of overweight and obesity, as well as those who have lower schooling. In keeping with the body mass index, the most vulnerable groups of the population face major challenges. And so that's why it's so important to boost consumption nationwide. Now, a key component of social protection is eating habits, nutrition, and that's why our system is working on policies, plans, and programs within the framework of IYFV to raise awareness among the population and to bring about opportunities so that the population can have greater access to fruits and vegetables and thereby boost consumption across the board. To this end, we are very pleased to have worked closely with FAO throughout the year as part of our agreement related to the IYFB. Now, one of these activities was an agreement that resulted in this event today. Now, this is the launching of the guidance notes and the policy briefs. And we have worked closely with experts in a variety of different realms and from different continents and subject matters. And in keeping with this agreement, we are also supporting small-scale family farming and peasant farming, fostering consumption of fruits and vegetables among the vulnerable population and creating awareness among this population with regard to the benefits, the health benefits of consuming these products. Now, today, with the launching of these guidance notes and policy briefs, we would like to reiterate our profound commitment to boosting access to fruits and vegetables and supporting their sustainable production, thereby recognizing the essential contribution that these make to the family, the essential contribution of family and small scale and peasant farming. Now, we know that there are a series of actions out there under this program, and the government of Chile would like to do this in order to boost quality of life for all Chileans across the board. Thank you very much and have a fabulous morning. I will be here listening to all the various presentations with a great deal of attention. Thank you. Thank you, Jose Pedro, for your remarks, and thank you for your appreciation. We would also like to once again greet those and thank those individuals who are joining us from Dominican Republic, from Colombia, and from elsewhere. Prior to moving on with the presentation of the documents, we would like to share a short video with you about the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables 2021. Go ahead, let's run.
Ripe, delicious, lush, nutritious. Coming all shapes and sizes, colors and shapes. Raw or cooked, sweet or bitter, soft, crunchy, fragrant, pungent. All of us unique and special, full of fiber, vitamins and minerals, history, culture and traditions. We don't just fill your plate, we fill your stories and memories. Long and short, slim and plump, sometimes awkward or misshapen, forgotten or neglected, but never ever ugly, whatever people say. Because we're what really makes you tick, what makes your eyes sparkle and your smile dazzle. We are fruits and vegetables, simply beautiful.
Ahora es el turno de
Well,
presentarle
now it is the moment to introduce the series of guidance notes as a result of the FAO WHO International Workshop on Fruits and Vegetables 2020. And for that, Dr. Rebecca Cantor will present. She is an assistant professor at the University of Chile, who has a long career as an academician, a number of scientific publications in prestigious scientific journals, and she has also been in charge of research projects related to the agri-food system. Rebecca will deliver her perspective on the three policy papers. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Thank you for this opportunity to share with you this launch of this series of policy briefs geared towards stakeholders, so all of you watching today, to promote fruits and vegetables for consumption and health. This policy brief series consists of the three policy briefs presented here, and that I'll be sharing the key messages of during this very brief presentation. All three of these policy briefs or the series are available on the FAO Chile's webpage, both in English and Spanish. They're available here at these links in English, and then if you go to the FAO Chile's webpage and look under publications, you'll see a page where they're all available for download in Spanish. So first, the key messages from the policy brief on promoting fruits and vegetable value chains to improve supply and consumption. In this policy brief, there's an emphasis to promote policies on fruits and vegetables in which are related to how they are carried out in the supply chain in terms of their production to lead to improved supply and improved human consumption. And so that these policies need to consider that fruits and vegetables in general globally have a very high waste and loss due to their high perishability, high labor demand, variations in yield, and high consumer prices. All of these factors that I just mentioned limit both the availability and affordability of fruits and vegetables globally, and are also related to biodiversity loss, inadequate logistics or human resources in value chains, as well as sometimes hard to complete market linkages across global or local supply chains. Therefore, value chains for fruits and vegetables need multiple improvements in terms of being shorter or more localized, being more gender responsive or more inclusive, and this will help provide better producer prices and lower risk in marketplace for people who produce fruits and vegetables. And thus, fruit and vegetable crops have the potential to generate more income for smallholder farmers than staples, but yet we need more policies to promote such infrastructures, and therefore there can be lower retail prices for fruits and vegetables for the consumer while also ensuring fair producer prices. The second policy brief in this series is on consumption, promoting fruits and vegetables for human consumption. And this is also available online in both English and Spanish. And as Dr. Crowley mentioned in her presentation, currently globally, worldwide, fruit and vegetable production as well as consumption are well below the FAO and WHO or World Health Organization recommended levels of fruit and vegetable intake of at least 400 grams per day for adults. And thus by 2030, it is estimated that global health costs related to unhealthy diets, which are really linked to low fruit and vegetable consumption, may reach as high as $1.3 trillion annually. Globally, currently, there are a few policy actions to promote fruit and vegetable consumption beyond school-based interventions, which is another reason why this year of fruits and vegetables has been so important. And yet, interventions, as also has been talked about earlier in this presentation, should promote healthy diets as well as fruit and vegetable consumption starting from early in life. Currently, there have been many communication and behavior change interventions that have been done, but evidence shows that alone these interventions cannot increase fruit and vegetable consumption to the recommended levels by the FAO and World Health Organization. And therefore, also international evidence suggests that fiscal policies in mobile produce markets can effectively increase fruit and vegetable consumption. Mobile produce markets are those such as carts that sell fruits and vegetables, usually in local areas. And as are usually based around local production. Finally, the third policy brief in this series is related to promoting safe and adequate fruit and vegetable consumption to improve health. And again, as I presented in the last slide, the FAO and WHO recommended adult fruit and vegetable intake for a healthy diet is at least 400 grams per day for an adult. And because this level is so low globally, low fruit and vegetable intake has now become a global public health problem, as it's related to a main risk factor for many non-communicable diseases, such as many types of cancer, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes. Again, therefore, the promotion of fruits and vegetables in this International Year of Fruits and Vegetables emphasizes minimally or unprocessed fruits and vegetables to preserve health benefits, as we know that consumption of highly processed fruits and vegetables may displace consumption of fruits and vegetables that are little or not processed at all. Conversely, highly processed food and beverage products can often also be misrepresented as nutritious products, even if they say they have the word fruit on the label, but probably have very little or no fruit content in those products. And therefore, health professionals, as well as all the stakeholders watching today, have an important role in promoting healthy diets and increasing fruit and vegetable consumption. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that after this presentation or even during it, you'll go and download this wonderful series of policy briefs.
Muchas gracias, Rebeca, por su presentación.
Thank you very much, Rebecca, for your presentation, very clear presentation. Now we'll start with the first segment of discussion entitled Best Practices Associated with the Promotion of Fruit and Vegetable Value Chains to Improve Supply and Consumption. For that, we're joined by Israel Rios, FAO Nutrition Officer for Latin America and the Caribbean, and Mr. Floiran Flores, Chairman of the Confederación Gremial de Ferias Libres de Chile, ASOF. Please be welcome. Please remember that for the benefit of time, each one of you will have 5 minutes to present related to each question. Thank you very much. The first question is for Israel. We would like to know what are the policies that have the greatest impact on making fruit and vegetable value chains more sustainable and nutrition-oriented. Thank you, Carla. And I'd like to take the time to greet great friends who are also present in this event of the launch of the policy briefs on fruits and vegetables. Well, I think it is important to highlight the connection between the food systems and nutrition, considering that a food system that is healthy and sustainable can be able to produce a healthy food, therefore contributing not only to fighting hunger and to improve food security, but also to stop the other pandemic that we are facing, and we've been facing for quite a while, which is the obesity-based pandemic. And for that, we need to change our view from to consider productive aspects, better in the fruit production. And there are several examples that are gathered in policy brief about the value chain and production that considers agri-food production with the agricultural diversification. There are several examples of governments and countries that are implementing inclusion on the part of those very administrations in the promotion of fruits and vegetables connected to public supply programs, and therefore improving food security and also economic income, especially for small-scale farmers. A key element is the capacity development, how we turn small farmers or small producers or growers to become more complex in terms of organizing them in cooperatives or becoming small entrepreneurs that are able not only to produce healthy food and fruit and vegetables, but also of being part of those marketing dynamics and fruits and vegetables production promotion. There's something else that is important that I'd like to highlight in Latin America and the Caribbean has taken great strides to make them visible, which is the importance of reducing both losses as well as waste of foodstuffs and throughout the entire value chain, the food chain. And there are several efforts at the national level in reducing losses, as we call them. Fruits and vegetables value chains that are more efficient and shorter make it accessible to small farmers, to these markets, public markets, either school feeding programs or public supply systems from the point of view of governments, and of course public and private alliances or partnerships to cause small farmers and producers to find other market scenarios that will allow them to market the food they produce. Once again, let me highlight the policy briefs represent all these experiences and all this analysis that will allow for innovations in terms of how to promote enhance production and the consumption of fruits and vegetables in our countries in Latin America and the Caribbean and of the world. Please go ahead, Carla. Thank you, Israel, for your remarks. Now, I'd like to ask Froilan, in your experience, why fruits and vegetables are not favored ones, and how could open markets to contribute to a more diverse diet for consumers? So, Mr. Flores, you have the floor. Good morning. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Let me greet our dear friend, director of FAO, and all the speakers and those who are watching this session. The lack of consumption of fruits and vegetables, I believe, first, is because today they're reaching the marketing locations and mainly green fruits or not ripe fruits because of the long distances between the production site and the marketing or consumption sites. I was just eating peach and I've had it for 3 days at home. It's still non-edible. So children do not know ripe fruit. Everything is not ripe, but they do not get to homes in that condition. So we need to look for those shorter chains, and we should also have state policies through municipalities, for example, of planting fruit trees in small spaces, and also a policy to promote consumption of fruits and vegetables that people say are expensive, but they are not expensive. We hear a lot about losses, but because of small spot on a piece of fruit, that doesn't mean that it's bad. Because our mothers in the past, an apple in the past that had some spots, our mothers used to make juice or puree or something. We don't do that anymore with fruit. I believe the experience we had with this pandemic, something good about the pandemic, is that working together with the state and the Ministry of Agriculture and the whole chain to promote it, to strengthen this chain and this channel. And I believe those policies that are top down from the state down to the base should exist in order to change this mentality, this culture that fruits and vegetables are expensive. Now, the great explosion that happened, or the boom of commerce through the retail stores and supermarkets, and not making it possible for the food channel that reaches the most vulnerable populations are open markets. And we have not grown according to how cities have grown, for example. I believe we should first incentivize this consumption of these fruit and vegetables, even from the time when mothers are pregnant. It's not children do not get accustomed to developing the habit of masticating, for example. It is important that we promote and how we develop this culture of eating fruits and vegetables. Thank you, Froilan, for your answer. Now I'd like to invite you both to answer the following question. In the short term, what do you think are the key improvements that can be implemented in the fruit and vegetable value chains to promote their consumption?
Thank you for that, Carla. Let me mention that we need to boost the value chain of fruits and vegetables by strengthening the production sector through more technified production and other aspects, so that the fruit and vegetables arrive at the markets and to the consumers with in proper form and condition. It's important to boost the techniques employed by small farmers, women farmers, indigenous peasant farmers, so that not only will they be able to produce these foods, but also sell them and boost the nutritional quality. Often they do not have the opportunity to sell these products that are so helpful for human health and for cancer prevention. And as Rebecca mentioned, the scientific community has shown the benefits of these products. And networks are key. Networks and associations of producers are necessary so that they can join their efforts and provide more products, sell these products through public purchasing, acquisition systems, but also through markets and expanding their reach to other sectors through PPPs and making sure that consumers can receive these products. So also focus on nutritional quality and reduce loss and waste in international markets. For example, the actual networks of fruit and vegetable retailers are an excellent opportunity. We need to also make sure that these products are more competitive and more attractive. We need to work closely with the producers to do this and to ensure that they're receiving a fair price for their wares. Also, providing incentive to do away with illegal or unfair competition. Essentially, we need to boost this type of consumption to benefit these small and rural peasant farmers. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Israel. Now let me give the floor to Froilan. What do you think we could do in order to implement better value chains and production chains for fruits and vegetables? Well, I fully agree with what Israel has mentioned. I would have to say that from Arica all the way to Punta Arenas, we have over 1,700 open markets, and training the market sellers with regard to the beneficial properties of fruits and vegetables is key, and the state plays a key role here. This is a very intimate relationship, and we are familiar with our customers and they're familiar with us, and there's a great deal of trust between those of us who sell to our customers. And this is it's key for us to do the training. It's very different if we were to do it than if a professional were to do it. So if we were to be trained, we could then in turn train the farmers or those selling the products in the market. Often the health community will teach the people how to eat better, but it's important for them to hear from others. In Chile, we have different programs, for example, the national program to provide school meals. And I really think they should involve us in this process, because when a large industry purchases products by the ton, stores them, and then drops them off to the stores, we know that the quality is not the same. We know that the presentation of the food is not the same. We know that they're not there's not as much care in how the products are handled. If we were to be able to be direct suppliers to the schools, that would be beneficial. For example, if we were to do away with the middleman, that would be beneficial. Now, a state policy to promote healthy eating must be constant. I think that is of dire need today in Chile. And allow me to wrap up, because I know I'm taking more time, but let me say that, and this is not based on ideology, but back in the day, there was a very successful state policy to foster milk consumption, and it worked. And then the same applies to seafood and shellfish. That has worked as well. So those policies would do well to be adapted to the 21st century, and I think those would benefit us as well. So we should foster those. Now, malnutrition in Chile is clearly coming to a crisis moment, and we know that a great deal of arable land, the best farming land, is being snatched up by real estate companies, and land is being used for export products and not for feeding our own countrymen. And I think that we should train small farmers, the middlemen, and ourselves as well, with regard to how their products should be handled. That would allow us to, in the end, provide consumers with a better quality product in a shorter time frame, and also provide the individuals with more of a motivation, more and more excitement to provide good quality products. And then what about water? There's so many hectares out there that are not actually being sown anymore because of a lack of water in the 4th and 5th region. And those were fruits and vegetables that we used to consume, but they're not being grown anymore because there's a lack of water. And then we know that the mining industry and the export industry is involved here as well. So I think there are problems there that need to be solved. Thank you for that. Thank you to both of you for those remarks. Now, obviously, policies that have fruits and vegetables at their heart must be taken into special condition, because we know that these products are perishables. And also we know that they call for a great deal of labor and etc. So let's move on with the second block of questions, entitled Best Practices Associated with Promoting the Consumption of Fruits and Vegetables. I would like to invite Manuel Moñino to join this discussion. He's a coordinator of the Global Alliance for Fostering the Consumption of Fruits and Vegetables 5 a Day. So welcome. I would like to remind each panelist that you each have 5 minutes to answer each question. Thank you. Allow me to begin with a question for Israel and Manuel. What do you think are the main barriers to achieving adequate consumption of fruits and vegetables? Israel, would you like to begin? Sure, thank you. Now, we're already well versed in the benefits and nutritional contributions of fruits and vegetables. These are very unique, obviously, but we're still asking ourselves these questions. Why don't people ask and eat enough fruits and vegetables? Why can we not get 5 servings per day? which is keeping with the FAO WHO recommendation. There's several barriers to that, and they are primarily the lack of public policies that foster the consumption of fruits and vegetables. And so these guidance notes and policy briefs will, I think, close the gap that exists and allow the countries to implement or design new policies that would favor the production and consumption of fruits and vegetables. Also, the availability is yet another issue. Now, we know that there is competition as well between the various large companies. They have huge budgets as well. And they have a tough time competing with the high fat, high sugar content foods. And also, unfortunately, the small producers do not have the budget that the others have. So this is an issue in terms of competition. We have also seen that FAO and the WHO have been focusing on the cost of having a healthy diet. We know that the cost is increasing, and this calls for additional public policies to ensure that the cost is accessible to all, especially those who are more vulnerable. Consumption is also tied to education and awareness. We mentioned cost, there are cultural aspects weaved therein as well, and there are multiple other factors that have an impact on consumption. Education, as already mentioned, is a key aspect. Nutritional and health related education, teaching children how to have a healthy diet. We need to re-educate the population as well with regard to healthy diets. And the context that we are facing today, that is the pandemic, has provided us with a key opportunity to actually foster healthy eating habits. We have seen that unhealthy habits have given way to obesity and overweightness. And well, anyhow, these are some of the issues that I wanted to mention. And I've run out of time, so thank you. I give the floor back to you, Carla. Thank you, Israel. Now let me give the floor to Manuel. What do you have to say about this, Manuel? Well, I agree 100% with what Israel has just mentioned. In fact, my response was related to those key aspects. That is the need to facilitate access to these foods, and also bear in mind that we know that it's easier now to have access to unhealthy foods than to healthy foods. And that is yet again one of the barriers to having a healthy diet. Now, Israel referred to prices. Now, it is true, Froilan also said that fruit is not expensive, but it is true that in some very specific environments, some products are expensive. Now, globally speaking, we know that some of these products are only available to those with a greater purchasing power. Now, with regard to food illiteracy, I think that's a key issue, food and nutrition illiteracy. We know that we can teach families and individuals to differentiate between the different types of fruits and vegetables and their proper seasons, and when is the right time to consume them, and what types are more, which products are more nutritional. And we can provide them with guidance also to ensure that they do not throw them away, or we can convey to children that fruit, which is naturally sweet, is sweet because of the natural sugars. And we know that there's a lack of cooking skills as well. People do not know how to cook fruit and vegetables so well. They tend to just eat them raw. So it's key to know how to cook them so that we can take advantage of the damaged fruit and not and thereby prevent loss and waste. One needs to have the necessary cooking schools. That's why teaching and individuals is key, and ensuring this level of literacy. Now, families obviously are the individuals, so that, well, the key realm in which we convey this, teach this type of skill. We also need to ensure that we teach the individuals how to preserve these foods. That could be another key way to do away with one of these barriers. And I also agree that unfair competition with processed foods is key as well. For example, when you go to a restaurant and when you see the dessert menu, you can see that it's loaded with very sugary foods, and fresh fruit or fresh fruit based desserts tend to be among the minority, if present at all. And then other policies as well. I apologize for that. There are some initiatives that have truly proven to be successful in boosting consumption, but they tend to wane over time, and we need to make sure they do not wane if we are going to be effective. Moreover, and no one has referred to this, or someone has referred to this, but I just wanted to underscore that recently in the Global Alliance, we have come up with an exploratory study involving 25 countries to figure out what's going on there. We have posed many different questions to them. One of these was, what fruits and vegetables are consumed in your country? And do you think your country meets the recommendation of 5 servings a day? We have found that 44%, that is 11 out of the 24 countries, did include fruits and nuts in their consumption. 70% did not include avocado as a part of the fresh fruit and vegetable consumption. And just a small number of the countries included legumes and dry beans. I think that's key. In order to wrap up, these food nutritional guidelines should clearly indicate options for consumption and provide consumers with some tools. Now, processed fruit and vegetables can be healthy, and they do not necessarily have sugar, or they have a minimum amount of processing. And so we need to educate the population with regard to that. And though these are my overall comments regarding the barriers. Carla.
Thank you both for these very thorough answers. Now I'd like to continue with you, Manuel, and I'd like to ask you, what has been the most successful experience that the 5-a-day program has had in increasing fruit and vegetable consumption? How it was implemented? And please tell us about the results. Well, one of the typical characteristics of this type of programs is that many times the entities that are leading those do not have the means or the capacity, either human resources even, to be able to assess the impact of the activities. And that's a weakness, not only in terms of the activities developed by the 5-a-day program, but many other public policies that promote healthy food intake. A characteristic of these 5-a-day programs are the actions in the school context. For example, in Chile, we have the example of the Colación Bacana, the cool meal. Besides nutrition, healthy diet, there's fruit that is offered to school kids, and we've been able to improve the nutrition condition of these educational establishments, and we've actually reached out to a large school population. In France, for example, there is 1.5 million students that have received the impact of the fruit and vegetables consumption program in France. An important example is the school fruit and vegetable gardens in the schools in Mexico. Close to 4,000 students have received the benefit of improving their nutrition habits. Also, specifically here, we assess the evolution of the weight of the students, and 46% who were underweight reached normal weight. Those who had overweight also came down to normal weight. I think these are very significant results. These hydroponics school fruit and vegetable gardens that facilitated an environment in which students were able to grow fruits and vegetables to eat them at the end. Something happened in New Zealand, where the 123,000 students receive 25 million pieces of fruit and vegetables every day. So it's an important scope. Also, the Frutoteca in Spain that reached out to 18,000 students on an annual basis. Another impactful program is the 5-a-day in Norway that operates between 1 to 5 years of age, delivering toolboxes or toolkits to teachers and students, and currently is also acting on 67% of the caretake centers, reaching out to 180,000 children between 3 and 5 years of age. The workshop also highlighted the importance of acting within this age bracket. Community programs, some of them have been assessed also, 5-a-day in the US, for example, and the result was that the program increased the consumption in half a ration in adults and one ration in the case of teenagers. In the UK, similar results were obtained with an increase of from 0.4 to 0.7 rations because of due to the 5-a-day program.
Si no te importa, Carla, puedes pasar al siguiente, por favor.
Can you go to the next, Carla? Don't worry, Manuel. Really, it must have been very gratifying to see this experience that Manuel presented, very gratifying for the entire team. So congratulations because of those remarkable results. And I'd like to also greet those of you who are joining us from Peru, Venezuela, who are following this transmission through our social networks. Now, in closing this segment, I'd like to ask Israel, well, there are many interventions to increase fruit and vegetable consumption that have been successful when implemented in the school context. But in what other context could actions be taken to promote consumption efficiently? That is a great question, Carla. Really, from FAO, at FAO, we're really happy to have supported the celebration of the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables together with a fabulous team where we're able to accumulate a multiplicity of experiences in the school context. Also from FAO, we've been supporting countries in order to strengthen the school feeding policies and the transformation right now we're going through the consolidation of school feeding programs and through the school feeding network. We've had a huge work agenda. We've done several things in terms of school feeding programs, a holistic view, a comprehensive view, not only providing a meal, but also to use that meal in order to educate, and therefore we include key elements such as the use of school, pedagogic school fruits and vegetables gardeners. So children are exposed to the production of food, so they find value in it. Also, the issue of public sourcing, public supply, short chains, it's key because it allows us to purchase fresh produce with cultural relevance, with a gender approach, because we favor the purchase from female growers and producers and indigenous women. Another key element, nutritional education is key, not only by providing information, but also training teachers and turning teachers into key stakeholders. Just like what Ferland said, we can take marketeers in the wholesale markets and turn them into healthy food ambassadors. Another element that we have developed in order to address what we can do beyond school feeding programs is to integrate the intersectoral involvement and community involvement in these discussion spaces. And the question is, what can we do outside schools? Because in schools, we've found that this is successful when we, of course, are able to increase the consumption of fruits and vegetables, because kids are an age in which they are strengthening their nutrition habits, and many times they go back to their homes with these messages, and we're able also to transfer what happens in the school and to get into the homes and the family. I believe public institutions should implement healthy nutrition programs that take these food guidances and implement them in hospital contexts and other facilities that belong to the state system should also favor the consumption of healthy diets, including fruits and vegetables. Healthy universities could be also an optimal scenario to promote the consumption of fruits and vegetables, and this will require a strong commitment to favor healthy diets, because this is a commitment that the governments have adopted in favor of the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables. So there's a number of actions that will also favor the consumption of fruits and vegetables to implement food guides based on, and what Manuel mentioned, it is key not only to guide the population in terms of what are the best options, but also to guide the decision making in terms of sectoral policies, food production, what products are going to be favored. That is mentioned in the guides, also fostering social protection. Those initiatives are inspired on those nutrition guides in order to foster the consumption of fruits and vegetables. There are a multiplicity of examples of things that are being done with academia, workshops. So with our colleagues with Paraguay, they are discussing the nutritional makeup of fruits and vegetables of indigenous products, that they are not part of any other tables. And this is another way of adding even more value to the nutritional contribution of these traditional or indigenous products that our indigenous populations are consuming. These are a multiplicity of examples. And thank you again for being able to share these initiatives on the consumption of fruits and vegetables. So the invitation is not to close this international year, but to continue fostering these foodstuffs in favor of the more sustainable food systems. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Israel, for your kind remarks. I'd like to invite again Manuel. Some unforeseen events happened because of this format. We all have to adapt to these meetings. So don't worry, Manuel. You have some more minutes. I'm sorry. Continuing on, following up on what Israel was saying, that we shouldn't stop here with promoting the consumption of fruits and vegetables, but we need to continue with the momentum that this year gives us to keep on investing on this promotion from our institution. We will continue to do it. I was talking about community programs. Some of them had been analyzed and evaluated, but half a plant, half a meal in Canada, the 400 grams challenge in France, or the 5-a-day practice in Spain are some examples of community programs of social marketing, I would say. These initiatives also have, in Colombia, for example, in 2014, they broke the record of fruit and vegetables delivery at a sports event in 4 cities in Colombia at the same time, reaching 150,000 portions of fruits and vegetables delivered in less than 4 hours. That's a record. Also, the impacts of up to 600 or 800 million in impact on the mass campaigns that are done through TV channels, 5 a day in Spain or Mexico, or the one that was done in Germany that caused 58% of the people recognize the message of 5 a day. Something that is also important from our point of view is the World Day of Fruits and Vegetables that started because with the support of the Global Alliance has been useful for governments in Chile, Costa Rica, and Salvador, and the Santa Fe municipality established their International Day of Fruits and Vegetables to conduct annual activities in this regard. This has also been the inspiration for the Peruvian government for their Week of Fruits and Vegetables. Also in the work environment in Germany, for example, has a platform, which is 5 a day in Germany, to facilitate companies the fact that they can deliver fruit baskets with fruits and vegetables in the working context to their employees during their workday. And just in closing, scientific dissemination. Some of our partners, for example, Aprifel, that edits the global bulletin in French, English, and Spanish in more than 30 countries, which connects scientific evidence of the consumption of fruits and vegetables, 5 a day in Chile, for example, in publishing their pieces, or the conference in France, in its latest edition, has prepared 14 data sheets for doctors and nurses in primary care so that they can provide a brief advice to their patients. So there are several approaches. The lack of assessment is one of our weaknesses, of course, but I believe that we do have an impact on a very broad set of the population with the support of public policies that Israel was commenting on. We could facilitate further these programs. Thank you very much.
Well, it's very clear that a variety of different efforts are required to boost the global consumption of fresh fruit and vegetables and surpass the WHO FAO recommendations. There is so much more work to do ahead. I would like to thank both of you for your participation here today. Now let us move forward to final and third block. This time we will talk about the best practices associated with promoting safe and adequate consumption of fruits and vegetables to improve health. We have two well-renowned professionals with us today to refer to this: Sofia Bustos, who's a director of Actuemos NGO, and Fernando Vio, who is a professor at the Institute of Nutrition and Food Teaching, INTA, of the Food Technology, of the University of Technology. Thank you for joining us here today. I just wanted to remind each of you that you only have 5 minutes to answer each question. Okay, thank you. Sophia, now we always hear that there are nutritional recommendations to eat raw fruit and vegetables. Now, why is eating raw or minimally processed fruits and vegetables so much more beneficial than eating the processed ones or foods? Hi there. First of all, I would like to greet you all and thank you for inviting me to join this seminar. We are joined here today by a wealth of professionals who are constantly fighting to ensure better more consumption of fruits and vegetables. Thank you for your question. Now, we know that there's no way we can deny the nutritional benefits and positive attributes of eating fruits and vegetables. We know that traditionally they have been part of our diet since time immemorial. I know we talked about the importance of eating a minimal portion, serving size per day. We know that they are key contributors of minerals and vitamins. And as mentioned by the previous speakers, the challenge has been to ensure that individuals do consume the bare minimum. So we know that eating fresh fruits and vegetables is better, but this is challenging in a world known for processed and foods and a fast-paced environment. Now, raw or minimally processed fruits and vegetables have a positive impact on human health and planetary health. Now, the way these products are processed prior to receiving the consumers may have an impact on how much nutrition is actually obtained and how many nutrients are obtained from these products, given the bioavailability of the nutrients after being processed. We know that some of these we know that the hydrosoluble products, and they're especially vulnerable to being deteriorated when exposed to heat, and heat also reduces the benefit of the antioxidants present in these products. Processing these types of foods can also alter the type of amount of sugars available, and this may contribute to excessive consumption of sugar, and this in turn may lead to the onset of diseases that fruits and vegetables are known for preventing. So it's not the same to consume raw, minimally processed, or processed fruits and vegetables. Now we've heard a great deal about fruit juices, and there have been significant studies into fruit juices, more with regard to fruit, but we know that when processed juice form, the cellular fiber walls are destroyed, and so there is evidence out there to show that a diet high in juice consumption is associated with issues that are not so positive for your health. Now, one of the documents that we are launching today, which is called Fostering Adequate Consumption of Fruits and Vegetables to Foster Health, is a document that speaks to the recommendations of eating raw or minimally processed fruits, and ideally local and seasonal, given all of the benefits that these hold, as mentioned by previous speakers. So it's also very important to know that these recommendations refer to raw or minimally processed food. We also know that these are very perishable, and as a result, they are the second type of food products most exposed to food waste and losses. So there are other aspects worth taking into consideration. And in certain areas around the globe, individuals do not have access to raw fruits and vegetables. They only have access to minimally or extremely processed fruits and vegetables. So that's important to take into consideration as well. Now, I have, for example, been in Guatemala, where there is a lack of access to nutrients, but mangoes are right there. They're available. They fall onto the floor because people do not consume these. And the UN has actually drafted programs to ensure that the women use these fruits and vegetables for income and for sale. Now, you always need to make sure that when issuing recommendations, you're aware of national context. And also there are nutritional guidelines that refer to the consumption of these types of fruits, and these need to be understood in conjunction with other policies, for example, value chain policies, production policies, migratory policies, gender policies, and all other policies that may have an impact on food systems, so that we can ensure that individuals do consume fresh and raw fruits and vegetables as recommended. Thank you for those remarks, Sophia. Now, we therefore do know that it's the way we consume fruits and vegetables is not mundane. Now, let me refer to Fernando. How can we actually ensure the consumers are educated and encouraged to increase the consumption of raw fruits and vegetables while preventing waste? Thank you for that question, and thank you for allowing me to be here today and to be in contact with all of my friends whom I've not seen as a result of the pandemic. Thank you for this opportunity. Now, let me answer your question. I think we need to bear in mind what the documents have stated, the policy briefs. Now, these refer to a series of policies, and I would like to refer to two of these. First, we have the nutritional guidelines. Obviously, these are very key, and the ones in Chile date back to 1975, and they have been updated. They were updated in 2006, 2013, and now they're currently going through yet another revision. And we see that the leading role of fruits and vegetables grows. So there is greater awareness, but despite these guidelines, the fruits and vegetables do not trickle down to the people because there's a lack of direct education and training. Now, Froilan referred to this. For example, everyone who sells fruits and vegetables really should educate the consumers about the benefits of fruits and vegetables. For example, this is something that has been carried out in the open fairs, but should also be done at the supermarkets. And this should be constant. Every time you go to purchase a fruit and vegetables, we should hear mention of the benefits, the nutritional benefits of consuming these products. That's one point. Another point is also mentioned in these documents, and that is teaching children about this at schools. So we have had a school feeding program in place in Chile since 1964. Obviously, it has been updated and revised, and we are doing our best to provide healthier options to the children. But what is the problem with the school feeding programs? It's actually when delivered, when provided, there's no additional education component for the children. And it's important to have this two-pronged program to provide the fresh fruits and vegetables along with education. Also, we need to make other improvements at the school level. For example, making sure that the children take part in this delivery process and holding workshops, cooking classes in Europe and elsewhere. The children twice a week tend to participate in cooking workshops so that they learn how to cook, so they learn how to make a salad, so they learn how to chop and dice fruit and vegetables. We do not see that occurring in Chile. And then also school gardens, that's another option for allowing children to see how the process from A to Z of taking the seed and then actually eating the vegetable once it's harvested. That is extremely educational. It's not enough to just provide information to the individuals, but rather we need to involve the people actively, because that will allow us to better convince our consumers of the benefits of consuming fruits and vegetables and getting the most, squeezing all the possible benefits out of these. And then also take advantage of all the parts instead of throwing away the beet leaves, for example, throw them into the salad. That's very beneficial. And we have actually measured at our antioxidant laboratory that the benefits, the wealth of antioxidants in the scraps is actually higher than the actual fruit per se. So this is something that we need to promote. We need to create awareness on a one-to-one basis at the fruit stand and the open market, at school, in the school kitchen, at the school garden, educating pregnant women during their prenatal visits with regard to the benefits. I think there's so much more to do today.
That's a very novel perspective, Dr. Vio. Thanks for sharing. I'd like to ask both of you, from the perspective of the agri-food system, what policies could be implemented to promote consumption among population? Sofia, can you please start? Yes, thank you, Carla. I was paying attention to what Fernando was saying. And in fact, the documents stated, we also participated in the seminar that prepared the International Year in the policy documents. And there was consensus in the sense that the fruits and vegetables consumption drivers are multiple. Israel mentioned some of the barriers to access, but there are factors that are cultural, socioeconomic, political, gender-based, nutritional culture, which is also so relevant, and also price, access, incentives, a number of factors that have an impact on our consumption of fruits and vegetables. That's why it's not only a single policy, and that's why the food system perspective is so important. I've had the chance of working in the US in two programs that have been quite successful, that have been long-standing. One is a farm to school, that is very much along the lines of what we've heard already, which is taking seasonal produce and include them into school meals. But it is not only about bringing nutrition education and fruits and vegetables to the families and the kids at school, but these programs have been able to modify or have allowed to plan the food intake in order to avoid waste and losses, because there's a key vision from the point of view of public supply from producers uh, that are the ones that supply to programs in terms of the volumes, the frequency required, the dates, or the schedule, what are the most widely consumed products. So what I mean is that this food system perspective has created incentives to production, to consumption, and this more holistic view allows for more access and more consumption on the part of the school population. There's another program that is called Food Stamp or SNAP that is quite interesting to see how people who receive the benefits, economic incentives in order to buy their food, can focus their purchasing on healthy food stuffs, especially fruits and vegetables in local open markets. And these are the same growers who supply schools, and they also supply to these open markets. So experiences like these, as examples, are successful because they are able to combine different public policy strategies to increase consumption. It's not only one, it's not the only one, or it's not one size fits all. We all know that countries have their peculiarities, but what I believe is necessary is to have this systemic approach and of country approach in order to improve population's health condition. So yes, there should be some synergy among the different actions. Dr. Vio, I fully agree with what Sophia just said, and I'd like to approach this topic from two different points of view, from the supply side and from the demand side. In general, public policies have focused mostly on the supply side, improving production, improving availability, uh, taxing, more labeling, regulating, advertising, etc. That's fine. That's fine and all. But the biggest problem is the demand side, because in spite of regulation, people keep buying unhealthy food. And they do not favor healthier foodstuffs such as fruits and vegetables. And I wanted to stop for a second here regarding price. We've just seen the analysis of the food basket analysis in Chile that considers the prices of the foods of the last 6 months. The price of tomatoes, for example, bananas, and frozen corn went down, but canned food, canned tuna and processed tuna prices went up, and other processed foods prices went up. So price, at least in Chile, and I agree with Manuel, it's not an issue. But even in spite of the fact that the prices are low, people do not favor the consumption of healthier food. So what we need to do is to improve the demand side of things. And in order to do that, of course, what we need to do is a long-term action through education at kindergartens, at schools, and primary care centers, at work places where food is sold, so that we start convincing people about the benefits of consuming fruits and vegetables, and that is a long term work. It is easier to regulate, but that other type of work, it takes much more energy and it's much more difficult. And that's where we need to focus. But we need to focus by using a state policy. And I've always said this, I've seen the lack of education in terms of healthy eating in Chile, from preschool years to college education. It is not acceptable that there's no such education in our school system in Chile. And that is the first thing we need to do in terms of state policies. Second, healthcare. The healthcare system has the elements in order to do this, to educate in terms of healthy diets at the the work context at Chile through the state actually delivers food to several working places, and but they've never taken care of the quality of what they deliver. So there needs to be a state policy, in my opinion, a much more focused on the demand side, as I said, than on the supply side. I wanted to take a minute and please let me finish this year, this international year 2021, by thanking all those who have actively participated this year. This year has been a very tough one worldwide because of COVID. Also in Chile, we had a series of ongoing lessons that we have learned that distracted us very much. But in spite of that, there was a lot of work that was done that I believe has been clear in three areas. One, the area that healthy food is available. It's present. We see how menus are more healthier in schools. Physical activity, there's some fostering of a physical activity. Healthy, the word healthy is more present. Now, in terms of the environment, the issue of healthy food and fruits and vegetables are connected with the environment. And that has been the result to a large extent of because of this international year of fruits and vegetables. With the drought, we know, and this is data coming from FAO, that in order to produce 1 kilo of vegetables, you need 200 liters of water, 300 liters for fruit, 15,000 liters of water is needed to produce meat, for example. So there's a huge impact in terms of the impact of fruits and vegetable consumption on sustainability, on the environment, and on the diversity, so that there's no monocultures, and that is also important. And or monocrops, I'm sorry. Also, the loss and waste issue. We hear and we talk about that, and that is something that is already installed as a topic. I believe this year, in spite of all difficulties, the discussion is there, but we need to turn this into a public policy, and we hope and we expect that from now on, the governments do pay attention to fostering the production and consumption of fruits and vegetables to improve not only people's health, but also the environment, avoiding waste and losses, and to improve the life quality of small growers and small producers that are producing these fruits and vegetables. Thank you very much, Carla. Thank you, Dr. Vio, for your kind remarks, for your analysis. Finally, Mr. Froilan Flores, please be brief and tell us about the efforts that some of the open markets in Chile have done in order to promote healthy nutrition, healthy diets. Your microphone is off. It went on and off again. Okay, yes, technology, thank you. Back in the 60s, in schools, I am 70 years old, there were cooking workshops, family cooking workshops. Unfortunately, the state got rid of that. They also did some manual works. School gardens have been promoted by us, but we haven't received the support of many kindergartens or primary secondary schools. So 15 years ago, we started organizing the legumes and fruits and vegetables and corn festivals at different times of the year, different seasons. And we organized these different festivals. At some point, also according to what FAO reported, we visited these food deserts, what we called. We took some of these, we took fruits and vegetables carts to companies and office buildings and condominiums. And now during the pandemic, the Ministry of Agriculture helped us organize Condominio Feriante plan, but we need legal support for that. Open markets do not have legal support. That's why we cannot grow. We cannot generate healthy food policies, because we actually depend on one person, which is the mayor. And mayors do not pay attention to us or understood the importance of this industry, because at the national level, we're an industry, and we are an economic unit when considered individually. So I believe we need legal support in order to carry on these policies. There's a bill in Congress, and it's been sitting there in Congress for 15 years, and the state hasn't made a decision of going ahead. Together with Sano, with Dr. Vio, with Lo Valledor, and some universities, Universidad Chile, Universidad Santiago, and other private universities, we've carried out some initiatives, but without the legal support, without having the possibility of growing and developing our condition, we many times are, it's only about, this revolves around good intentions, because there are some legal issues that we cannot that prevents us from going ahead. It was an honor to be part of this panel, and hopefully the year of fruits and vegetables is endless. Thank you, Freilan, for your kind remarks. From the organizing committee, would like to thank the participation of Dr. Cantor and of the 5 panelists who made invaluable contributions that point to concrete actions that could be taken into consideration by the countries to improve nutrition of the population through fruits and vegetables consumption. For the benefit of time, we will end the activity with these interesting thoughts. So we'd like to thank everybody for sharing with us, especially the panelists, participants, and organizers, as well as the people who were with us through social networks. Undoubtedly, we are at a key turning point for our agri-food systems, and we hope that the thoughts and conclusions of this event can turn into a contribution to build together a world that ensures that fruits and vegetables are included in everybody's diet, leaving no one behind. Please note that the recording of this webinar will be available on the UNFAO YouTube channel to be checked again at a later date. Please remember that at FAO Chile Twitter account, you can find the links to the technical documents on fruits and vegetables that Dr. Cantor presented at the beginning of the webinar. Thank you very much for your participation, and see you next time. Thank you.